Ho, ho, ho! Merry Christmas! This is Born 62, I'm Henrik Jyrs, and today we are going to talk hammer curl. Today and next week we'll talk about two different variations of the hammer curl that can bring something else out in that exercise, something you haven't seen before. Okay, without any costume, what is the hammer curl? The hammer curl is a curl with a neutral grip. I have discussed that before. Most people know it in a dumbbell version where you either use both hands at the same time or alternate from side to side, but stand up in a erect position and you have your arms in a neutral position but also your shoulders in a neutral position. And that way, what do you work? Most people will say the brachialis and some will say the biceps. But actually you work all three of the major flexors of the arm. The brachioradialis that lies down here, the brachialis that lies beneath the biceps, and the biceps itself. But there's a reason why the biceps is called biceps. It is divided in two and they don't work exactly the same. When we do a neutral hammer curl with our arms hanging down by our sides, that is actually the strongest curl we have if we have trained in a balanced way, because all three flexors will work together. So we are not isolating the brachialis here, it is working together with the biceps and the brachioradialis. But this is one of the exercises where the brachialis and the brachioradialis both works the best. So in that sense you can say that you are isolating them, but the biceps is still involved. And one thing you got to know about isolation, it's not that the muscles communicate together and say, hey, you'll take it this time, I took it last week. All muscles have a best range of motion, a strongest range of motion, and the muscles that are in the best position will take the majority of the work. But that doesn't mean the others won't help or they are left out in some way. It's actually almost impossible to bend your arm without all three muscles working somewhat. But there are differences. Every muscle has a position that is the best for this muscle, and every muscle has a strength curve. If the muscle is completely stretched, it's not very strong, and if it's completely contracted, it's not very strong either. So somewhere between these two extremes you have the position where the muscle is the strongest. And if we look at the biceps, I'll try to draw it here. You have the shoulder blade up here, and you have the bone in the upper arm here, and the two bones in the forearm down here. And this is actually the biceps. The red one, the green one here is the long head, the outer head of the biceps, and the red one here is the shorter head, the inner head of the biceps. Both muscles flex the arm here at the elbow, so they work over this joint. But the outside head is polyarticulate, as it's called, meaning that it also runs over the joint up here, so the shoulder position will affect the way it works. When it's stretched here, and it is stretched when you have your arm behind the body, when it's stretched it will be stronger than when it's not. So if you have your arm in front of your body, the inner head will be in the best position to work along with the brachialis. If you have the arm behind your body as in an inclined curl, the outer head will be in a better position. So what does that mean when we do any kind of hammer curl? That means that the arm position in relation to the body will also affect what muscles will work the most. Today we'll use a triceps bar to do preacher curl with a hammer grip. That sounds very complicated, but it's not. Because the arm is in front of the body, the inner head will work better than the outer head. And because we are stretching over a preacher bench, most of the action will be delivered to the lower part. So by doing your hammer curls over preacher bench, the brachialis, which lies beneath the biceps and is attached to the bone at a point right here and come together in the same tendon, down here at the forearm. That will work very good along with this one and along with the brachyradialis. What will be left out will be the outer head. It will not work that particular well because it is not stretched over the joint here. On the other hand, normal wisdom is that a hammer curl actually works the outer head quite well. So what are we to believe? Well, I haven't seen any studies of this particular thing, but one thing you can be sure of is that the brachialis beneath the biceps will do some work, and most of the work will be concentrated in the lower part of these flexors. So let's see the exercise, and maybe you feel that you'll try it out yourself. It can be pretty awkward or difficult to feel any difference between what muscle is doing what work. You have to be really sensitive to know that. But it's a great exercise, and it will work your upper arm and create mass at the lower point. So let's see the exercise. When you perform this exercise using the triceps bar, it's crucial that you have put the bar on the bench at first, because you don't want to bend over the preacher bench to pick it up from the floor. Your lower back will be in a very dangerous position that way. So we'll pick it up here, and it can be a bit different to get a good grip. Some people will prefer wearing gloves for this one, but it's not strictly necessary unless you go very heavy. And always lower under control, and you come up and down like this. Much more simple than the name implies. Take care to get a good stretch, but a controlled stretch. You simply don't want to hurt yourself here. If you're alone, if you're training at home, it'll be hard to read positive failure, because if you read positive failure with your arms here and there's no one to help you, well, you'll end up in a very awkward position, and once again you might hurt your lower back. So training alone, stop one rep short of positive failure. If you have a training partner, get her or him to pick the bar from you when you reach failure. Otherwise, this is it. My plan for the next 6 months is to do this exercise on a regular basis, because I think I need some mass on the lower part of my biceps and the complete upper arm. So let's see what's happened. Let me know if you try this and how you feel about this exercise. See you next week. Hi. Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year. I'll see you all on New Year's Day. Hi.